Welcome to the Bruins Benders Podcast, Season 3, Episode 5, The Ref Show with Maddie and Smitty, brought to you on the Inside the Rink Podcast Network. InsideTheRink.com is your one-stop shop for all your NHL and ECHL news, insight, and analysis. Follow on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, at inside_the_rink. Download the Inside the Rink app. Watch us on YouTube. Go ahead, and if you are now, go ahead and hit subscribe. And hit a like on the video there. We'd appreciate it. Smitty can tell you how to watch Bruins hockey on ESPN+.
Yeah, you can sign up for ESPN Plus by going to the Inside the Rink website. Go to insidetherink.com/ESPN and sign up today. I have ESPN Plus, and I love all the Major League Baseball, soccer, college sports, UFC, and now college hockey and NHL hockey. You can watch the Bruins right on there. So sign up for ESPN Plus at insidetherink.com/ESPN today, so you don't miss any of that Bruins action. Sign up at insidetherink.com/ESPN.
Next season, you might be able to watch Cooper Flag and UConn on the ESPN Plus. What do you think?
Oh, I mean, Jesus,
There's some murmurings going on. Some rumors.
There's rumor milling and all kinds of stuff going on. I still think he's going to Duke. In my heart of hearts, I still think he's going to go to Duke. He had this official visit today, this past weekend, at Duke. So, last impression kind of thing. He was there for the, Cameron Crazy Madness or whatever the fuck they call it. So, he's there. But, my heart obviously says UConn, but my head still says that he's going to go to Duke. But.
Boy, what a wagon UConn would be if Flag ended up there. My goodness.
One can only hope. One can only hope.
Yeah, I coached against him 3 times. Pretty good player.
Yeah, he's a pretty good player, and he would be their best recruit ever in the history of the University of Connecticut. So that would be a big get for them. Mm-hmm. But they also have their hands in a couple other guys, Patrick Ngangba, who was also there at Duke for the official visit, but he has a cousin who goes to UConn or is committed to go to UConn. Okay. So that's a possibility. And then AJ Debansa, who is out of Brockton, Massachusetts, also is on their radar, who's like the number 1 prospect in the 25 class now. So they're recruiting really, really well, and a lot of good things going on, obviously, coming up.
Yeah, you win some chips, and you know what? You get some people.
Yeah,
very good. And the Bruins have a few people.
They do.
In the first couple of games. Yeah, weekend review time, and it's October the 14th. It was against the Nashville Predators, a 3-2 win. Bruins start slow again. Literally 1 million penalties in this one. Sisson scores first, and then it was JVR, James Van Riemsdyk, ties it with a pinball goal on the power play by the goal line. And then David Pastrnak scores on a beauty of a shot on the penalty shot.
Unbelievable.
Sisson's ties it on a deflection. And then JVR on a great tip for the eventual game winner on a Charlie McAvoy shot. And it was Jeremy Swayman who was outstanding with 34 saves in this one. And the Bruins got it out like they probably will for much of the year. Low scoring, 1-goal game, have to tie it up, have to, finish it off at the end of the game. And that's kind of what this was.
Yeah, I think this is going to be what you see most of the year. Hopefully it's not the, 34 shots against, but it's, really good performance by your goaltender, keeping it low scoring. Your defense does well, outstanding on the penalty kill. And you get some timely scoring, Pasta with the penalty shot on just an absolute snipe. He kind of pulled it back behind him and just roofed one, high glove. So a really great shot, and they got out a win, and they haven't played a lot of games. So, I mean, that could play a part a little bit in the rustiness of getting up to game speed and that kind of thing. So we'll really see what happens here when they start to play more games on this West Coast trip coming up, starting on Thursday.
Yeah, with Brandon Carlo had just under 8 minutes of penalty minutes,
Yeah.
penalty kill in the first 2 periods.
Yeah.
Like it was it was unbelievable, and it was like they were outstanding. I mean, they
It
were,
was.
and Swayman was outstanding in that time too. I mean, he was probably their best penalty killer.
Absolutely.
Um, but yeah, it was one of those games where the refs just sort of just just got in a rhythm of just calling penalty after penalty
Calling
and
everything. Just
everything,
calling
just
everything.
everything. Yeah.
Like you know, you touched the guy in the corner the wrong way, you gave him a
Oh,
little reach around, whatever it is, but
yeah.
like they were blowing the whistle on everything.
They
Everything's
were.
illegal.
Yeah,
Everything's illegal. It's
everything's illegal.
all about the refs. Let's watch them on TV because nobody wants to watch the actual hockey game.
No, that's not allowed. That's what they kept saying. Not allowed at all.
It's not allowed.
All right, 7 chirps time, and that's brought to you by Lobster Brewing. Lobster Brewing and Tasting Room in downtown Woonsocket, Rhode Island, specializing in small batch ales and lagers, open 7 days a week. Use the coupon code SPORTS, get 10% off your online order. Go to lobsterbrewing.com and go on the social medias and see them at Lops Brewing. And we have a little bit of a little something coming up at Lops Brewing soon. So that announcement will be coming soon. So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Chirp number 1 are the starts that the Bruins are having right now, which are slow. Are they a concern? 2 games, 2 bad starts.
I think it is. I think you do have to kind of worry about it because it's not just 2 games and 2 bad starts. It's been kind of going throughout the whole preseason. They've started slow in all the games. So it's kind of a habit already, and it's something I'd like to see them break sooner rather than later. Hopefully they get out on the road and they get a little more familiar. I mean, a lot of new faces, so maybe that's understandable. They played a lot of guys in camp. There wasn't a lot of continuity with the lines and the lineups. So maybe that's all part of it, but they really need to get rid of this sooner rather than later.
Do you think some of it might be, hey, we shot our load last year in the regular season, took a lot of, effort to win all those games and put a lot of stock into every single game. And then maybe, just some of it being, hey, we need to pace ourselves a little bit more. And you mentioned a lot of new guys, and that's true, probably half a dozen different guys in the lineup. But maybe some of it is that, maybe we have to, not just go balls to the wall the whole season long.
I think that certainly could play a part of it. Absolutely. I think they could be kind of pacing themselves and we kind of, emptied the tank and then ran out of gas maybe in the first round and we were all spent chasing the record and all that stuff. So pacing themselves is fine as long as they're winning games.
Right.
So as long as they're winning games, I'm fine. I'm fine with it, but I would like to see the starts get a little better. I mean, you can't just be getting dominated by the Blackhawks and the Predators early in games here. I mean, those are 2 teams. I mean, Nashville's maybe sniffing the playoffs, but Chicago won't. So,
Right.
You can't really have that and expect to win games.
No, especially at home. I mean, you don't want to
Right.
come out at home and just not play well in the beginning. And chirp number 2, does the third pair of Kevin Shattenkirk and Derek Forbort, does that worry you at all?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It worries me quite a bit.
Mm.
I was pretty vocal about saying I didn't think Forbort should be on the team. So yeah, that worries me. I think that should be Lowry. And I guess he struggled a little bit in the beginning down in Providence, but I still feel like he could be there. That could be his position. So I am worried about it, and hopefully, that will improve. Forward was good on the penalty kill. I will give him that. But it's still probably a guy who should be there, 7th, 8th defenseman.
Yeah, I
In my
mean, how much of Lowry, going down, probably being disappointed, and then probably trying to go down and do everything, probably
Right.
trying to show that he should be back in Boston and
Mhm.
that thing. So that could be part of what his struggles are. And they even talked about it after the game, the first game that he played with Providence. Like he just has to be better defensively, but probably trying to do too much and, showing that he can play, in Boston, it shouldn't be playing Providence and all that stuff. But what I am concerned about is, um, I think Shattenkirk's been okay.
He has been.
It's just that floorboard is just. I just feel like it's guys like him. it goes quickly. Like Adam McQuain had the same kind of thing. Like you're just to stay at home, banging bodies, blocking shots, penalty killing. After, I mean, there's only so much shelf life for those types of players. Like they don't offer much offensively. So
No.
once they start to wear down, they're really one dimensional. So once they start to wear down, they can't play the defense that they have been playing. They can't skate as well as they used to, and so forth. And I think that's what you're getting with forward. So the thing about it is that I don't see. I know he's making 3 million, and that's probably a big part of it why he's playing. But I just don't see why he doesn't bring so much value that you have to keep Lowry down, or even Zaboral or someone else that
Hmm.
could play. You know what I mean? It's just like he doesn't bring that much value that you. I mean, what are you really losing if you
No, I
play one
mean
of those guys?
he's not as physical in the defense. I mean, he'll still throw his body around a little bit, but he's not as physical in the defensive end as he used to be, as he could be. He's awful at the outlet pass, breaking
Oh,
pucks
I
out of
know.
his
It's just not
own.
his game. Yeah.
It's not his game. So,
Yeah.
I mean, he really, really, when you get right down to the nitty gritty, to the brass tacks, he does not fit their system. He does not fit how
No.
they want to play hockey.
No.
Uh, so I feel like there's better options, whether it's
Yeah.
Ian Mitchell or Lowry or Zaboral. I think there's better options there. So
Yeah.
I would go with one of those guys instead. All of them younger, all of them with more upside than a guy who's kind of holding on here. So
Yeah.
I would move on if it was possible, and if not, you either demote him or you have him scratched and he watches games and someone else plays.
Yeah.
That would be my call if I
Yeah.
was the coach.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree, and I think that you'll probably go a little bit longer here and see, but after a while, hopefully after 10 or 15 games, they evaluate and say, okay, maybe we play somebody else, or who knows. But it is a scary pairing. Like, and of course, and these are two teams like you just mentioned, Chicago and Nashville, not super great. So when they play Toronto and
Yeah,
Carolina and these
yeah.
teams that are
New Jersey, yeah,
New Jersey, like that's where the rubber
the
meets the road.
Rangers.
That's
There's a
where
lot
it's
of
gonna be.
teams. Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That'll be scary. All right, Chirp 3. Jim Montgomery changes the lines at the beginning of the week in anticipation for Thursday's game in San Jose. Your thoughts on the changes?
I love it. I think that's
Mm,
what the line should have been from day one.
mm,
Maybe not exactly. I don't know if I, in my head, thought that Geeky would be part of the Potra,
right.
um, Marchand line, but that's fine. I'm for that because I think he bangs bodies. He can get to the front of the net, bang in rebounds, create a little space for the other two guys. So I like that. I like DeBrusque going back to his natural left side to play with Zacha and Pasternak. I think that line can be dynamic. And then you have Coyle back where he should be in the third line center spot with
Yeah,
Frederick, who he has some chemistry with, and I'm forgetting who. Oh, JVR.
there we
So
are. Yeah.
he gives them a little offense and a little net front. So I really like their top nine there, and then the fourth line's been good all through camp and was pretty good in both of the first two games. They kind of tailed off there, I guess, a little bit maybe in the second game. They weren't awful. They were sitting around a long time, and I think that's
Mm.
probably part of it. They didn't have a great game in that game, but overall they've been good. So I really like the way the lines shape up now, and hopefully it will create a little more offense for them.
Yeah, and I think there's a sneaky little. First of all, I think I've said this about Patra. Like, I know that people liked him with Frederick, and they looked okay, and there was some production there, and Frederick scored a goal, and I get that. But over the course of time, like, he's feeding Frederick on plays and hands of stone. Like, it's just like, come on, like he needs to play with. I mean, he's a top six center. He needs to play with top six people. Like he needs to play with guys who can cash in when he makes a really good play.
Yep.
So I like that part of it. The other thing is, and I've said my concerns a little bit about DeBrusque. This is a little bit of I think this is a little bit of a recognition by Montgomery that DeBrusque has to get going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's no real, you know, playmaking type of center, which I thought might hurt him And in the first couple of games, I mean, the second game he had 4 shots on net. He was better,
He was.
but kind of quiet, And I'm a little concerned about him. He's my bold prediction, going the other way.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. Having him with Zaka and Pasternak, I think could energize him some. I think it gives him a little bit of a look there, and I like that. And I'm almost more excited about DeBrusque going back to left wing and playing with 2 really good players than the Poitras thing. Like I'm almost most excited about DeBrusque because I'm a little concerned about it.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, I could see it. I mean, he wasn't great. He wasn't great through the preseason. Certainly wasn't good in game 1. Game 2, I thought he showed some signs. But I think him and Pasternak have a little something, and Zaka and Pasta have a little something. And just to be on the ice with a guy who scores 60 goals, you're bound to pick up some points and things just because you're out there with the guy. Like if you make a play to him, he's probably going to put it in. I mean, so
Right.
That can only help Jake. And the other thing that I'm looking forward to seeing, and this may be part of their decision making, is Poitras being on a line with guys who are going to see, the other team's best or second best D pair. Like you're going up against the best now. Can you still create plays? Can you still make space for yourself? Can you still hold on to pucks? All that kind of stuff. How is he going to do? How is he going to fare against going up against the other teams, either top pair D or second pair D, where before, he was getting a better matchup for himself. So now he's going to be facing the other team's best because they're going to want to shut down Marchand and so forth. So how does Poitras respond when he's faced with maybe, playing against a little bit tougher competition?
Yeah, and I thought that the physicality in spots was getting to him a little bit last game. Like he was getting a little roughed up, and it was a couple of times he kind of was grimacing, and it was one time he got up slowly. Like that's something to keep an eye on. He's 170 pounds soaking wet. Like he's not very big. In the NHL, like you're gonna have a little bit of a target if you're the cute little shiny new toy.
Yeah,
guys are gonna come after you and so forth. So that's the other thing about Poitras. But I'm really excited to see him play with Marchand. I thought they had a little bit of chemistry in preseason when they played a little bit, and it's going to help Marchand. I think who's another guy who he's missing Bergeron. Like it's different.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Thursday's game and how this shakes out. And I hope they give it a little bit of time. Like I hope they give it a little bit of time. All right, Chirp 4. Concerned at all about the power play?
Not really. I don't think. I mean, it's still early. It's still early, and trying to have a new guy who's a different side shot in the bumper now kind of changes everything around. Now the passes to Zaka should really be coming from Pasternak, and he hasn't really been known as a guy when the puck goes over there that he's going to feed it back to the middle. Usually it's a shot, or he's creeping himself back to the middle to shoot, or he's going like backdoor low post to either Marchand or I guess in this case it would be JVR. So it's kind of a new thing. So I think you got to give it 10, 15 games before you really start to worry about it. And the second unit I think's been excellent. They've been getting the puck in, moving the puck around, and with a shot first mentality, been really playing pretty well. So I really think it's kind of just the first unit kind of getting more familiar with each other. Where do they like pucks? That kind of thing, and figuring out the passing and so forth, and not trying to do too much, not trying to force the puck to guys. So I think give them 10, 15 games before you really start to worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, nothing ebbs and flows more than a Bruins power play over the years. I mean, my goodness, they can go stone dry and then be really great. So I think JVR helps. I mean, obviously he did last game, but he definitely helps have a net front presence, and he should be able to really cash in because he's playing with some pretty good players there. With Pasternak, I mean, there's so much attention. Like I think JVR is going to reap the benefits of that for sure. All right. Trip number 5. Elon Musk is going to charge us $1 a year to give you the Bruins updates. All the more reason to buy some Benders merch.
Is he charges $1 a year or $1 a month?
I thought it was $1 a year. I saw.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay,
$1 a year.
$1 a year, I suppose I could
Trying to get rid
afford.
of the bots, evidently. Maybe I
I
think
don't
that's
think
the
that's what it is.
reasoning.
I think he's trying to make money off it. It
Well,
has like
well,
however
think
many
how
million.
many. Yeah, you think how many Twitter
Yeah, I
Twitter
mean,
people
there's
are out there?
170 million users.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know how many
170
there.
million bucks a year. Yeah,
Yeah. So,
yeah.
yeah, he's trying to make a little. He's trying to make a little coin. It's not about the
Mm,
bots. Trying to make a little money off it.
yeah,
Uh, which he should be because he bought it for a shit ton and
he
then
did.
fucked it all up.
And then yeah, really
So,
fucked it up.
yeah. So we'll see what happens with all of that. I like Twitter. It's the app that I probably use the most.
Mm.
So, we'll see what happens if we have to give you the game updates somewhere else, Facebook or
Right,
Threads or,
right.
I don't know.
YouTube Live. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, who knows?
Yeah,
But we'll get it done. We'll get them out there. We'll get the information to the masses, so you all can follow along with the Bruins. But yeah, this son of a
yeah.
bitch charging me
Right,
$1
right.
for
And
two.
like you said, it's the thing. It's really the app I use the most.
Yeah,
It is 100%. So logically, you would think, well, you should be all right with spending even $5 a month doing it. Because if it's the one thing you use all the time,
yeah,
sure. But it's the principle of the thing.
it is.
Like
Nobody
that's
else
what
is
pisses
charging
me
me.
off.
Nobody else
No,
in any of these things.
no,
Zuckerberg's not charging me for
no.
Facebook and
He could have started
Instagram.
charging me 20 years ago if he
Yeah,
wanted to.
right.
Yeah.
He's not charging me for Facebook and Threads and Instagram.
No,
So,
no.
maybe I gotta, pledge my allegiance to Zuckerberg. Watch
Yeah.
the social network again.
Get on the
It's something.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we just go on like Pinterest or something. And, you know.
We'll go on
Yeah.
Etsy and
We're going
do
Etsy.
updates and sell our
Right.
Bruins merch.
Selling knitted hats.
Arts and crafts. Yeah.
Chirp
They need
six.
people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Chirp six, all Centennial team thoughts as the 20 players were selected. Couple of surprising ones. It was really the goaltenders for me. I get it, but I don't get it. And the goaltenders for me should have been Tim Thomas and Tuukka Rask without much of a problem. And it's Jerry Cheevers and Frank Brimthick.
Yeah.
And I'm out. I'm out on that. Like I just
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it should have been. I can see Cheevers getting in because of the cups, and to me the other one should have been either Tuukka or Thomas. And I would have said Tuukka because I think he's had a better overall career. Even though Thomas gave him the cup in 11. So to me, it's of the three. I mean, it should have been Tuukka, Thomas, Cheevers were the three goalies that I would have picked. And of the two, I would have same with you. I would have probably gone Rask and Thomas.
Yeah, I mean, they both won 2 cups, and if that's really all we're coming down to, I think that's really unfair. I do. I mean, it's a team friggin' sport,
Yeah.
and I just so Thomas gets hot for 3 weeks and wins a cup, like so that makes him better than Rask. Like I just come on. I don't know. I think that's unfair. The rest of the groups, I mean, it's pretty slam dunk, really. I mean, Terry O'Reilly, I think, is a guy who, if it wasn't the Bruins, he wouldn't be as beloved. Like he was. I mean, he's fine. He's good, really good. And tough as nails.
Didn't he
Team
score like
captain.
300 goals though or something?
He scored 204. He
Okay.
had 606 points in 891 games.
I
Team
mean, that's pretty
captain
good.
for 3 years. I mean,
Yeah.
but he was tough, and he's
Yeah.
typical Bruins. Like that's
Sure.
where they put their love and passion into. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Typical.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
mean, for Christ's sake, David Krejci had pretty similar career points wise. And a guy like O'Reilly is like beloved and lauded, and
Mhm.
I get it, I guess. And then there's Rick Middleton, of course. Marchand and Pasternak made it, and then Bill Cowley made it 508 games, 537 points, had 2 Stanley Cups, um, and then Busick, Bergeron. So three very recent players, and then Chara, 4 very recent players.
Yeah.
on the list. So that speaks to how good they've been the last few years there. All right,
It
and
does.
then yeah, it does. I mean, it does because if I mean, you could. I mean, Brad Park was in it,
Yeah.
and he was great. And then there were other people who said, okay, what about like Jean Rattel, who
Mhm.
really had his best years with the Rangers, and
Right.
he wasn't as good with the Bruins, but he was obviously a Hall of Fame player. But we got him a little bit late in
Mhm.
Boston. And there's some other players. I guess you could Adam Oates. And then they talked
Sure.
about longevity because he was only 5 seasons, I think it was. But in those
Mhm.
5 seasons, he was terrific.
Yeah. Sure
Um,
was.
so there's some decisions there to be made, but I was really kind of disappointed in the goaltenders because Jerry Cheever's, his goals against was like 2.9.
Yeah.
Like his stats aren't fantastic.
No, they're not.
He was on a wagon of team,
He
you
certainly
know,
was.
but so I don't know. All right, Chirp 7, and this is a list of an updated 2024 free agents. And Steven Stamkos is pretty much at the top of the list now with Elias Lindholm, William Nylander, Jake Gensel. Here's a couple of guys who I wouldn't mind with the Bruins, and maybe they should target for me. And that would
Yep.
be Chandler Stevenson
Absolutely.
and Jonathan Marchessault, so the two Golden Knights.
I
Like
agree.
I like
100%.
those. I like those two guys. I do.
I think they play with a lot of grit.
Mm,
Marchessault obviously shows up when it counts, being Conn Smythe last year.
mm,
So I love both of those guys.
mm.
So I would welcome either one of those guys to the Bruins with open arms. I like Lindholm a lot too. I think he's a good 200-foot center. And if it was me, I'm taking Nylander over Stamkos just because of the age factor.
Right.
Nylander's 25, Stamkos is 35, call
35.
it.
Right. Yeah.
So, to me, that's where I'm going.
Mm,
If I had the money, I'm going probably Stevenson Lindholm because I need to get a center or
right.
two even to kind of shore that up.
Right.
Uh, and then, Marchessault or Nylander. I mean, obviously, you're not going
Yeah.
to have enough money to spend on all of them. You probably get maybe one of those guys, not two or three. So,
Right. Yeah.
but I'm with you.
Defenseman's a little thin. Hannafin, Montour, and then you go to Forsling and Pesci and Brody, Tanev. Alec Martinez would be an interesting guy. I mean, he's been a winner
Yeah,
in his
he has.
career.
Mhm.
Probably underrated. But again, another guy who's upper 30s. Mid to upper 30s. Ekman Larson is a guy who's been talked about with the Bruins seems like forever. And then Goss the Spare and Doomba. So, so I don't know. I think you're pretty much set defenseman wise, though, as far as the upper echelon of defensemen. So I would put my stock in a center, obviously,
Yeah,
and then probably a winger wouldn't be the worst thing. Tyler Toffoli is in there. Tarasenko,
sure.
Matt Duchene's an interesting one.
Mhm. He's
So
up
there's
there
some,
in age a little bit too.
yeah, he's
Yeah, I
up
mean,
there in age. Yeah,
it's still a pretty good class overall. There's some names there and some talent there, obviously. I wouldn't mind, a guy like Pesci too, shoring up the right D. Maybe he takes, the third pair spot, or takes the second pair away from Carlo, and Carlo plays third pair
mm,
and penalty kill. And
right,
you kind of utilize him that way as kind of a
mm,
shutdown guy.
mm,
And Pesci's more of an offensive two-way defenseman. So that might be a guy that I look at there because you would think Low is coming up on the left side, so you have Low Lindholm, so you're kind of in a pretty good spot there too. So
yeah,
there's a lot of good names out there
yeah.
that you could take a look at.
It'd be interesting to see what kind of extensions are handed out. Stamkos and Lightning are having a tough time right now.
Mhm.
And the Bruins have been sort of rumored as a connection there. I just don't think Tampa Bay would ship him to Boston
There's no way.
mid-season.
Yeah,
There's
I
no
mean, there's
way.
no way. There's no way they
There's
trade
no
within the
way.
division.
No.
Uh, no.
I
Uh,
will take a look though at Pittsburgh. I don't have a great feeling about their team. I talked about this last week. I think I just don't have a great feeling about their team, and I don't think they're playing all that well. I don't think they're all that great. and Jake Gensel's out there. There's and whoever else that they may be shipping out if things don't go well there. So, and then, there's some other guys there, but I just hope that guys don't get signed, and then the list gets thin pretty quick.
Yeah.
DraftKings Sportsbook, Boston's hometown sportsbook, is live right here in Massachusetts. Bet local on all your favorite sports from the comfort of your own home with DraftKings. To celebrate, all new customers will receive up to $200 in bonus bets when you sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook using code ITR. You can now bet local on money line, spreads, props, and more with one of America's top-rated sportsbooks, DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and sign up with the code ITR to get up to $200 in bonus bets to use now that mobile sports betting is live in Massachusetts. That's code ITR only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
If you or a loved one is experiencing problems with gambling, call 800-327-5050 or visit helplinema.org to speak with a trained specialist free and confidentially 24/7. 21 plus, physically present in Mass. Eligibility restrictions apply. Subject to regulatory licensing requirements. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as free bets. Terms at DraftKings.com/MA.
All right, time for beauties and benders, and the three beauties from the past week here. Beauty number 3, the Bruins penalty kill.
Gonna love you, eh? They're gonna be loving you from dawn until dusk.
Predators are 0 for 7 on the power play, including a 4-minute double minor. Brandon Carlo, Charlie Coyle, Jake DeBrusk were especially good, but the whole unit really deserves a ton of credit. It was penalty after penalty.
Oh my God.
It was just guys who, and the worst part about it is your top guys like Pasternak and so have to sit.
Yeah.
It seems like forever because they Potra and guys who just sit there forever and wait for the penalties to get killed. And the Bruins did a really, really good job on the penalty kill, like a fantastic job.
Yeah, I mean that's the reason they won the game is because their
Yeah.
penalty kill was so good, and because they got one on the power play with JVR, so they score and hold the Predators off, and that's the difference in the game. So the penalty kill really deserves a ton of credit for the Bruins picking up the W on that one.
Yeah, no question. And then beauty number 2, James Van Riemsdyk with his 2 goals.
Gonna love you, eh? They're gonna be loving you from dawn until dusk.
He has as many power play goals this season already as he had in 61 games with Philadelphia last year. And he was down on the goal line. He was down and made that little bank shot. And then he's willing to get in front of the net. Great tip of the McAvoy shot. Like, that's how he scores. That's what he's made a living on. That's why he has over 300 goals in his career. I mean, that's what he does.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to get 20 this year just from being on the power play alone. Maybe not 20 on the power play, but a lot of rebounds and stuff. Like you said earlier, people are going to be paying attention to Marchand and Pasta, not JVR. So he's going to have a lot more room maybe down low. His Philly team last year, not a lot of talent around him on that power play. So you could pay a little more attention to him. And now that's not really the case. You got a guy on the other side that had over 60 goals. So, he might have a little more room down there to tip some shots and find some rebounds. So good for him and good for the Bruins.
We didn't talk about the other line of JVR with Coyle and Frederick that's coming along. That's an interesting line, and I think it'd be nice to see JVR and Coyle contribute something 5-on-5, and I hope they can take advantage of that. It's an intriguing line for sure because JVR will get to the greasy areas and Coyle's possession game, and maybe they can get something going there. And then beauty number 1, Jeremy Swayman.
Gonna love you, eh? They're gonna be loving you from dawn until dusk.
34 saves in the victory, and the Bruins' strength again is the goaltending.
Oh, 100%. I mean, he was fantastic in this game and really, like you said earlier, the best penalty killer. So many big saves. He was calm. He was poised. He did everything right in this one. And, big reason the Bruins won for sure.
Yeah, no question. I mean, it really brings up an interesting situation because Brandon Bussey, his first game, had 40 saves and has shown in the preseason that he may be ready to be an NHL goalie, at least a backup. And then you have the two the two goalies now, one making $5 million, one about to make probably $5 million at least a year. So interesting coming down. And then of course the rumors about Edmonton needing a goaltender, inquiring about Allmark, like it's gonna be one of those things. Something Sweeney doesn't usually do when they're headed for a playoff berth is to really shake it up like that.
Yeah.
But boy, it must be tempting to really strike while the iron's hot and get something for Allmark, put yourself in a good position, and then just have Swayman and Bussy for the
Yeah,
end of this
I
year and
mean,
next.
it is going to be tempting. If they're winning, though, I can't see any way that he does it.
No, he won't.
I
No,
really don't.
He's no risk
I
averse.
feel like if he's, if the Bruins happen to fall out of it by Thanksgiving, and we certainly hope they don't, but if they do, then you'll definitely see the trade market for Allmark kind of heat up.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
All right. So now we're going to focus on the benders. And the number 3 bender was the Bruins' third pair.
The bender.
Shattenkirk and Forward were combined -3. Neither was particularly bad, but we need them to be better than that going forward, or else, as I have said already, I'd like to see maybe some changes made there.
Yeah, I mean that's not good. And again, when they play the really good competition with the really good forward lines, like I'm really interested to see how that plays out because against some lesser teams here, they struggled against Nashville. So I don't know what's going to happen. But
Yeah, it's not strong. And speaking of not strong, even though they're physically strong themselves, the fourth line was not strong in this game.
The bender.
They were combined -5, but they weren't on the ice all that much, which makes it kind of even a little bit worse. How are you -5? I mean, Lauko skated only 6:25.
Wow.
Lucic 9:47. So they were both -2. Beecher was -1. So not a lot of time, and we're on ice for a few goals against each in that time. So that's not great. We'd like to see them be a little bit better. Hopefully that's just because they were sitting a lot, and the penalty kill was playing, and you sit around. Maybe you'll get a little rusty. Maybe you lose a little focus. Whatever it is. But we need them to be better going forward.
Can you imagine Lauko sat 53.5 minutes on the bench, like just sat there? Wow. I mean, that's quite a bit. That's quite a bit. I mean, I know the penalty kill and the power play, and he's not really that type of guy. So that's part of it. But man, to play only 6:25.
Yeah.
And Lauko needs look, Lauko needs to show some consistency or it's getting late. What does Yogi Berra say? It gets late early around here. Like it's getting late for him. Like it's again, Lauko, Steen. Are they gonna be the Studnikas? Are they gonna be with all those other dudes that never panned out? Like
I mean, I'll tell you what, for some fucking reason, Danton Heinen's still hanging around at Mike's Pastry in the North End, having some cannolis, hanging around. He could play the fourth line and not go -2, in 6 minutes. And he's scored over 20 goals in the league before. So there's a guy hanging around that would certainly be willing to take Lauko's job if he's not going to play better. So there's a little internal pressure there, hopefully, that will help him maybe turn this around a little bit.
Yeah, the only thing going for him is that he did sign a 2-year deal. I don't know how, but he did. So that's going for him. But he could be Chris Wagner and sit down there the whole last year and a half of that baby. Gotta get going.
Okay, and the final bender is the referees.
The bender.
An absolute ref show. It's not about you, fuckbags. It's not about you. 12 minor penalties called during the game. The entire first 2 periods were just a penalty fest. And just absolutely ridiculous. Every little ticky-tack thing was called. Then as the game went on in the third period, they stopped calling shit. Like there was there was a few plays stick between guys' feet. They fall down. Nothing. So really inconsistent, awful night from the referees in this one. But the Bruins prevailed. and that was good to see.
It was almost that old school match 'em up thing, and then
Oh, yeah.
not calling anything at the end of the game. Like that's what 1980s like Montreal
Sure.
Forum game. It was just like insane. But you're right. Just stay the hell out of it. Like just stay the hell out of it. All right, it's time for Centennial Spotlight. Bruins historic 100. Don Aury, the fabulous Don Aury. He had 543 games with the Bruins, 108 points as a defenseman. He was a plus 105. He won 2 cups with them. And was an unsung hero on the 70 and 72 Stanley Cup champions. Don Aury played 16 years in the league, almost 1,000 games. The great
Yeah, I
Don
mean,
Aury.
a tough, rugged guy.
Yeah.
Won a couple cups. So all props
The good
to
old stay-at-home defenseman type.
the stay-at-home defenseman type. Donna,
Yeah.
that was a thing back in the day. Not really a thing much anymore. There's
No.
fewer and fewer of those guys in the league as we move forward. But
sure.
good for him. I never saw the man play, so I can't
No.
really comment on any of that. A little bit before my time.
Mm.
But congratulations to Don Aury and all the people who made it on the All Centennial team.
Yeah, so this was Don was is 80 years old and still kicking.
Good for him.
All right, prospect spotlight. And
Yes.
the prospects, the 2023 draft. Early returns are that it's not too shabby, even though it started at pick 92 with Chris Pelosi.
Yeah.
And Chris is in 7 games has 4 goals, 3 assists, and is a +8 playing with fellow Bruins prospect Beckett Hendrickson on the line there.
Very nice.
Yeah, with the Sioux Falls Stampede. So they're both big boys as the Bruins have gone bigger and heavier.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like 6'2", and he's been sensational in the first few games here for Sioux Falls, the Stampede. So, and he plays with Hendrickson, and Hendrickson was a 4th rounder, and Pelosi was the 3rd rounder. Of course, the Bruins didn't have 1st and 2nd round picks in 2023 because of the Bertuzzi and Lindholm trades, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, it was Orlov. It was Orlov was in there.
Sure.
Orlov Hathaway. All right, and the week ahead, San Jose on Thursday, the October the 19th at the Kings, October the 21st, then a back-to-back we'll have at Anaheim on the 22nd, and then a return match against the Chicago Blackhawks on October the 24th. So 4 games leading up to our next episode, so plenty to talk about there. The Bruins will be on the road with new lines, and hopefully a San Jose team who's not great, picked to be one of the bottom feeders. I think they're 0-2-1 now. The Kings are, pretty good. A lot of prognosticators have them up there in the Pacific Division, but they off to a slow start. And then, of course, you have Anaheim and Chicago, who are amongst, kind of the bottom feeders as well. So it's an interesting trip. First trip away from home, some bonding, as Monty said. The guys can go out to dinner, hang out together, get to know each other, which is good for a team with new guys.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Good for a guy like Poitras, too, that, gets on a West Coast trip away from Boston media, like just away from stuff, which is good. So, hopefully they come out with a better start against San Jose, and hopefully they get 3 or 4 wins here and keep the line moving and pile up the points that they'll need later on.
Absolutely. And it's a West Coast swing, so some late night starts there. So
right, yeah.
Be on Twitter giving the game updates, little benders after dark, being a little crazy, get a little wacky,
get a little loose,
get a little loose with our vocabulary. So it'll be a good time. So join us on Twitter X at Bruins Benders, and follow along for all the game updates from the West Coast, and we'll have some fun and hopefully watch the Bruins win some games.
Absolutely. And get on the InsideTheRink.com and get some Bruins Benders merch, including a Potsy 51 t-shirt. That's a beaut. You can order that, shirts and hoodies, and it's almost Christmas time, so a couple months away from Christmas. So time to get your favorite Bruins fans some paraphernalia of the Benders variety.
Sure.
And as Smitty said, go ahead and take a look at Twitter X and our account, and we'll do the game updates. And on YouTube page, subscribe, please, and give us a like on the videos, and there'll be more content to come. Until then, Bruins have 4 games coming up this week, and we'll be recapping them next week. Thanks a lot for listening, and go Bruins.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.